And meanwhile, in the big story that we're tracking this hour, it has been over 40 hours and little Timmanna has been battling for life 160 feet below ground. It has been nearly 3 days now. Rescue operations are still underway in Bagalkote, but it looks like hopes of Timmanna's survival are slowly fading away. The camera captures the little boy completely covered in mud. His hand has been spotted, but there is no movement caught on cam. The boy is stuck at a depth of 160 feet and they have dug a parallel pit of 90 feet now. Manje Gowda's robot has been pulled out due to it failing in this rescue operation. And Manje Gowda's robot in fact seemed to have caused more damage than good to this particular rescue operation, as more mud has been dumped on the child. A longer piper is being brought in to make a passage to reach the boy for rescuing him alive. Meanwhile, Manikantan's robot, which was used in Bijapur when little Akshita had fallen into an open bore well, is being called in to aid the rescue operations. Manikantan has reached Bengaluru. He will reach Bagalkote by 3 p.m. is what we understand. It could take still quite a while for Manikantan to reach. What the officials ideally should have done was to intimidate Manikantan in the very beginning. At least he has one successful story to his credit. He had saved one boy in Tirunelveli using his machine, but it seems like Manje Gowda's robot has done only more damage, as it has led to more debris falling on the little one. The little one's hands can still be seen, but let's not forget that this is at a depth of 160 feet and the hands have shown no movement. There is a lot of debris as well covering his rest of the body, and this is what has been a major cause of concern. Among the debris are a few sizable stones as well, and which have been a cause of concern. This is in fact the footage of the debris that can be seen on the little child. Meanwhile, rescue operations are proceeding on part of the NDRF, the Hatti Gold Mines officials as well as the local district officials, as they have been digging a parallel pit for the last 3 days and they have reached a depth of almost 90 feet. But they will have to dig at least 80 more feet for them to reach a good 10 feet away from Timmanna, and then dig a horizontal tunnel to reach Timmanna, put a plank to ensure that he does not fall further, and then rescue him. But with each passing minute, the chances of survival are coming down for the little one because of the debris falling on the child. There is an issue of oxygen too not reaching him, which is the only source of survival, considering there is no food or water that he is able to get. Well, Manikandan's robot will be reaching by probably the end of the day at around 3 p.m. Manikandan's robot primarily uses a camera to hand-like structures. It has lever. It has something that can be lowered down to narrow places. It's not as bulky as what we saw in case of Manje Gowda's machine, but Manikandan's machine is fairly narrow and can be lowered down even inside narrow spaces. Well, the incident took place 3 days back on Sunday afternoon, when little Timmanna was accompanied by his cousin brother to their sugarcane farm. Timmanna, who was excited to show his brother the borewell that had been dug up, ran, but he did not realize that the borewell had been covered with a sandbag. Timmanna accidentally slipped and fell right inside. He was initially stuck at a depth of almost 10 feet. He called out for his mother and father. His father was alerted, who immediately rushed to the spot. He threw in a rope, but even as Timmana tried to catch hold of the rope, he fell deeper. He went to a depth of almost 60 feet. The officials were called in, but soon Timmana slipped to a depth of 130 feet. But for the past 1.5 days, Timmana has been stuck at a depth of almost 160 feet, which is extremely deep. There will be absolutely no light, and the boy even seems to have lost consciousness. But there is also a possibility of the boy's hands going numb because of the position it is in. His one hand is up, and since it has been up for over a day now, close to 2 days now, there is a possibility that the hand might have gone numb. All this keeping up hopes that he is still alive and he is still battling for dear life. Another borewell tragedy, in fact, that has been reported in the state. But now the officials will be facing a Herculean task when they encounter the rocky terrain which is below 100 feet. For now, they have reached the 90 feet depth, and they will have to dig another 80 feet, which is an equal amount of work as to what they have done so far. They have been continuously digging all through day and night, as they have absolutely no time to waste. Time is life in such cases, and this is a mission to rescue little Timmana, just how we had seen in case of Akshata. In fact, meanwhile, the officials who realized that Manje Gowda's machine, his robot, was not really of use here. Well, in fact, the robot that was unsuccessful in pulling out the child has been abandoned now, and Manikantan has been called in from Madurai. Manikantan, who had managed to prevent his son from falling into a borewell in the year 2003, and who's also part of the fire and emergency services in Madurai, has come up with this novel device. It has two hand-like structures to help grip the child and pull the child up. What comes as heartening news is the fact that this particular robot has been successful in previous instances in saving a child, one in Tirunelveli who had fallen into a borewell. The machine had gone right in and had pulled the child out successfully. But the robot was not so successful in the case of Akshata, considering that she had fallen head first. But officials who have woken up a tad too late maybe, but are sure hoping that Manikantan's robot will be able to pull out little Timmana. My colleague Harish has been tracking all the developments closely in Bagalkote. Let's listen in.
Well, it's been more than 40 hours since the 6-year-old boy fell into this borewell, and the rescue operation is still going on. And the excavation work, the Herculean task of digging and reaching this boy at a depth of around 160 feet is still going on. In the meanwhile, the other rescue work over there using the robot bought by Manje Gowda from Mandya has been stopped. There has been no major headway made by that robot. We are also told that Manikantan from Tamil Nadu too is on his way over here to Bagalkote. In the meanwhile, the excavation work is still on. There are official figures stating that somewhere around 60 feet is what they have achieved, but there are other speculations going on that it might be around 80 to 90 feet. Look at the Herculean task. Roughly around 4 to 5 JCBs are working together and trying to ensure that they can reach this depth as soon as possible. What they have to do is they have to build a ramp and then reach this boy, and it will take a good 4 to 5 days is what we were told yesterday. In the meanwhile, the other major concern over here for this excavation work are the high tension wires that are running on the other side. The ramp will have to go further. It is a 500-meter ramp. So this high tension wire is also a cause of concern, and the rescue officials are speaking to the officials from the ESCOMs over here to try and understand if has there been any underground cable that is there, or will this be in any way hampering the rescue operation. In the meanwhile, the land has been cleared to dump the soil that is excavated and make sure that the soil doesn't cave in once the rescue work starts. Well, this is as far as the rescue operation. The oxygen is still being pumped. An ambulance is on the standby, but with each passing minute, the hope is fading. With camera person Jabbar, Harish Upadhyaya, News 9, Bagalkot.
Well, in fact, there we have it all, the latest from on field, where the rescue operations are currently underway. We can see the massive pit that has been dug up. It is almost 90 feet deep, but the officials could have a bigger task at hand once they reach the 100 to 120 feet level, as the surface could become extremely rocky. The terrain will become very, very hard, and that's where they will need to use drillers, and that's where you will need to scoop out the drilled out stones, and only then can you proceed. Once again, we could see the rescue operations proceed at a snail's pace once the terrain, which has the soft moist mud, could end, which is at about 100 to 120 feet. So far the officials have been successful in moving quickly. They have built a ramp, and the mud is being moved very quickly thanks to the loose nature of the soil here. The family members have camped right on location, and now in some time, at about 3 p.m, we will see Manikan from Madurai come in to rescue the child. We'll slip into a short break now, but stay tuned. On the other side, we'll bring you all the latest updates in the case.